Well, this feels just a little bit weird. Uh, Hopefully the mic is picking me up well. I'm going to be extremely annoyed if it isn't. So, as the title suggests of this vlog, I went to India about a week and a half ago, and I lasted 4 days. So, doing this video is a little bit embarrassing, or talking about it is a little bit embarrassing, simply because I went to a country for 4 days, which I had planned on staying there for a month, or just under a month. But I made the decision to leave, and I thought I'd make a video and talk about my experience in India. I don't want this video to come across negatively, and I'm not offering any tips or advice on travelling to India, because I just don't have the experience or knowledge to be able to do that. But I'm just going to go through my experience. So a week and a half ago, I flew to Delhi from Bangkok. Didn't get off to a very good start. It was at Bangkok airport. It was probably about an hour and a half wait before I was able to check in. So they've got these check-in kiosks. They don't have automated ones there. It's all done manually by a person. So waiting in line for maybe an hour and a half or so, the only other people in that line were, I'm going to guess they were Indians, or they were people from that region. The experience of actually getting through that queue to check in was an interesting one, because there was some select people there that would just either join the line and push in, or it'd be people that were already in the line and they'd slowly just niggle their way in front of you. And basically it's as if you didn't exist. They had no respect or regard for personal space, or just for being orderly. And there were, I think, 2 occasions where I called them out, basically said, hey, what are you doing? You're pushing in. And then they would immediately react like, oh, sorry, didn't know that we were pushing in type attitude, and become very, what's the word? Very defensive about it. So got through check-in, got through security nice and easy, which was always a positive. Flight to India was again an interesting one. Boarded the flight, sat down in my seat, pulled my laptop out. I've been keeping a journal, and I start writing down some thoughts in the journal. And I was actually typing about that experience in the check-in line, and the person sitting next to me, again, I'm going to assume he's Indian. He's just staring blankly at my laptop screen, and so I look at him and he goes, oh, can I read what you're writing? And I gave a very firm no, and then he just laughed and said okay, and then carried on with whatever he was doing. Throughout the flight, there were multiple occasions where the flight attendants had to ask or tell passengers to sit down when the seatbelt sign was on, because we're either going through turbulence or we're actually in the act of descending and going to land. And passengers, again from India, would get up out of their seat and go use the toilet, or they'd just go to talk to one of their friends, or they'd get up to get something from the overhead locker. Again, just I don't know if it's inexperience in flying and not understanding the rules, or just a total lack of respect for the rules with flying. My screen just went black, so hopefully it's still recording. So yeah, got through the flight, landed in Delhi, got to my accommodation with an Uber, just the usual taxi drivers trying to pressure you to go with them, but I found where the Uber is. It's actually in a car park. It's a bit difficult to find, but if you ever do go to Delhi and you want to use the Uber, when you access the Uber app and request an Uber, it'll actually give you instructions on where you need to go to find where the pickup point is. So that was a really that was quite organised. So that was good. Got to my accommodation. The hotel certainly didn't look in person like it did on the photos. The room was very outdated. The shower, or they call it a washroom, was quite dirty. And I don't know if dirty is the right word. It hasn't been cleaned properly in a very long time. So, when you get the soap scum residue on the walls and some mold and things like that. Even like things like the tap, you can tell the actual tap itself hadn't been cleaned properly in a long time. The bed had some stains on it, like paint stains, so maybe it's just from other clothes when they've been washing, but just in general not an overly clean room. The area I was staying in is called Paharganj, so it's renowned for being a backpackers area. Throughout my time there, I didn't see very many. I maybe saw 10 or 15 tourists, which I was a bit surprised about. But that area in particular is very chaotic. And I was actually staying near the railway station, and there was a reason for that, because I was planning on catching a train the next day. But that area is quite sketchy, especially if you're walking around at night on your own. Anyone that does go, I would highly recommend just being very careful of your belongings. Just because there's a lot of people, and it's a very not very well off area, and you'll see that by just the infrastructure and how the smells and how dirty it is. So going on to my first full day there, it was probably the most stressful day of the 4 days. I saw a YouTuber make a video about getting a ticket for the train to go. So I had planned on getting a train to go up to Rishikesh, which was going to be my first stop before I headed on into the Himalayas. And there's a foreigners booking office in the train station, and so I went to the train station. I went to enter the train station. I got stopped by a person. I actually don't know if that person even worked there, but he stopped me. He asked me if I had a ticket. I said no. He said you can't enter the station without a ticket, which I later find out is not true. But being, I don't know, inexperienced, I guess, I listened to him, and he was explaining to me where the actual ticket office supposedly was. So he said that the foreign ticket office had been closed for quite some time. This YouTube video that I watched, it was about 5 or 6 months old. So in hindsight, I shouldn't have listened to him. I should have found another way to go in or ask somebody else. But in any case, he gave me instructions, and then he offered to put me in a rickshaw and they would take me. It was only meant to be a street or two away. So he takes me to the rickshaw. He tells the people where they needed to take me, and they gave me a price up front, so there was nothing dodgy about that. And he even told me that the particular rickshaw they put me into, which was a yellow and green coloured one, that they're the government ones. So they're supposed to be the people that wouldn't rip you off. So they take me to this foreign travel agency. Again, I'm thinking, all along, yeah, like these guys are helping me and this is where I should be going. Looks like my screen has a timeout feature. So they take me to this foreign travel office. I walk in, I tell them I'm here to book a train ticket, and the guy immediately starts looking. He spoke very, very good English. And so he starts looking, and then he tells me that there's no trains available for the following day, which is when I wanted to head up to Rishikesh. And he explains to me that at the moment they're booked out days in advance because it's their summer holidays, so a lot of people are headed up to that area and then beyond to the Himalayas. And then, so he said that he looked at it for multiple days and said there was nothing available. And then he starts suggesting other ways for me to get up there. One of them was to book a flight up to Leh. Now Leh is up in the Kashmir region, which some of you may ring a bell because the past couple of weeks events that have been going on between India and Pakistan have been up in that region. When he mentioned a flight to Leh, to that Kashmir region, in my head I'm thinking, I immediately thought of the terrorist attack that happened only a couple of weeks prior, but I wasn't certain if that was the exact area. So like in back of my mind I'm thinking, that doesn't sound right, but you know, he's giving me all this information and I'm just trying to take it all in. And then he also goes on about these, you can get these Indian travel passes, which it's like an all-inclusive pass. So basically, you know, you can have it for however long, but I think he was saying that it was for 2 or 3 weeks, and it would include all transportation. So any bus, any train, and all your accommodation in each of the regions that you want to visit. And you can stay in each region for however long you want. And he's telling me about what's included. He's saying that with each of the train and bus services, they allocate a particular amount for tourists, for foreigners only. So, like he was saying, the trains are all booked up, but with this pass, I could get a seat on the train, even though it's all already been booked out. So again, that sort of started ringing alarm bells. And then he told me the price, and I don't remember the price now, but I think it was somewhere in the region of $1,500 to $2,000. Which, as I was sitting there, I thought to myself, that's actually not that bad if you consider it's multiple weeks and it supposedly includes all of your accommodation and transportation, meals, all that sort of stuff. So I remember taking a photo of what he had written down, and I said to him, I'll have a think about it and I'll come back to you. I like to also do my own research and check what other options I have. So I was hesitant to just book it right there and then. He did organise a SIM card for me, which was good. That's actually still active. It's SIM card lasts for a month. And he made me a chai tea, which is my first proper chai tea that I had in India, and it was actually really, really tasty. Had a bit of sweetness to it, but not too much, and you could really taste the spices. I'm not entirely sure what spices were in it, but it was very, very nice. And I'm comparing this to chai tea back home in Australia, which we can buy in tea bags. This was much more flavourful, quite thick, full-bodied. It was delicious. I could have that every single day. So I leave that office and I start walking to the nearest Starbucks, which is about 500 metres away. And at this stage I'm already a bit stressed because I didn't want to stay in Delhi too long. I wanted to get out of there because I had read that it's not really a city you want to spend too much time in. So I'm walking to Starbucks and then I get stopped by another person And this becomes a theme. People tend to stop you and ask you where you're from, what you're doing there, how long you're there for, and then they try to offer you a service. So this guy, he worked at a bank. This guy worked at a bank, a younger guy, maybe my age, maybe a touch older, and he asked me what I'm doing. I explained to him what I'm trying to do with the train ticket. And so he straight away says to me, don't go to any travel agencies. They're just going to rip you off. And then I explained to him about the guy at the train station telling me that that foreigner's office had been closed or moved. And he says to me, yeah, it's been moved. And he actually walked me to where the supposed office had been moved to, which was a couple of streets away from where we were. And the reason why I believed him in this scenario, or in this case, was because I had to go up to the first floor in this building, which that video that I had seen on YouTube, you had to go up onto the first floor at the train station as well. So that's why I thought, yeah, this sounds about right. So I get to this office, I go upstairs, I tell this guy what I need to do, and he exclusively only did train bookings for foreigners. So again, I'm thinking, yeah, this is what I need. So he looks, and again, he says that there's no available seats for trains going to where I want to go to. I ended up sitting in there for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then he starts offering me other passes as well, but very similar to the previous guy. So again, like I'm getting stressed because it seems to be very difficult just to book a train ticket. And then I'm being offered all these other passes, which are going to cost a lot more than, a $20 or $30 train ticket, which is what it should have been. So again, I tell him that I'm just going to go to Starbucks and have a look for myself, and I'll come back if I don't find anything. So I go to Starbucks and I decide to look at buses. So I'm sitting there, and I actually ended up booking a bus to go to Rishikesh, but it took me a good 3 hours or so trying to book this bus, because a lot of the booking platforms in India, for whatever reason, weren't accepting a foreign credit card or bank card or debit card. And then a lot of them wanted a local Indian mobile number as well, which I didn't think I had. I thought I only had data, but later on I figured out that I do actually, the SIM card I had a mobile number on there, a local one. So eventually I book a bus ticket, which I think was about $15 or $20 for the next day. It was going to be about an 8-hour drive or ride to Rishikesh. Throughout that day, I went and explored a little bit of Delhi. The continuous, whether it be rickshaw drivers or just total randoms stopping you as you're walking, or walking with you and asking you, first it'd be where you're from, what your plans are, and how long you intend to be in India for, and then they would carry on with offering whatever their service was, whether it be to drive you around or to sell you jeans or whatever. And I understand that they just want to make a living, but it also becomes quite frustrating as a tourist when you're just wanting to walk around the city. So I found a few places to eat, which was good, and just cruised around for the rest of that day, and then that night found a decent place to eat dinner as well. I don't remember where I had dinner, but it was somewhere around Delhi. I also figured out how to use the metro, the train system, and one of the positives in India, their train system is actually really good. Their trains are very regular, every 2 or 3 minutes. They've got multiple lines. So it's a bit like the tube system in London, where you've got specific lines, so there'll be a set amount of train stops, and then if you need to go to a different area, you have to change trains and go to a different line. The tickets are very cheap. You might be paying $1, 50 cents, $2 most rides, and The only downside is, so you can buy an actual travel card. I decided not to do that because I wasn't going to be using the train that much. So then you have to buy individual tickets, which you do at there's a ticket counter. So again, you have to do it manually. Just my screen turning off. Again, you have to do that manually. So the problem with doing it manually was when a train station was quite busy, you'd have quite a queue. And again, the same issue I had at the airport. You'd be in line and then people would just push on in front of you, or they would creep their way around and in front of you. And like literally it'd be older men and women. They would just walk from nowhere right in front of you and just stand right in front of you. There's no personal space there. Like people will just cram right up against you. When you go through the train stations, you have to go through a security check, and if you have a bag, you have to put your bag through this conveyor belt which gets x-rayed. So when you get a really busy train station, you'll put your bag on there, but again, like everyone's just jamming in really close and pushing. So like if you're a traveller that hasn't been in those situations before, or if you haven't been in other chaotic situations before, that would be quite stressful and off-putting for you. It's just there's no personal space, and that's the biggest negative. So throughout the whole day, like I had settled down after I booked the bus ticket, and as I started to cruise around, I got my bearings a little bit more. But throughout the day, I had this constant feeling of, can I put up another month? Can I deal with another month of this? And while I'm sure that other parts of India are completely different, especially going up into the Himalayas, it should be a little bit more slow-paced, less people, a little more relaxed, more tourists. I had this thought in the back of my mind, is it going to be different enough for me to be able to enjoy a full month? And then even like I was thinking to myself, just get this bus, go up to Rishikesh, spend a few days there, and then if you still don't like it, you can always get a bus back and then fly out. But in the end, the next morning I decided that I was going to book a flight back to Thailand, because I just wasn't prepared to spend, basically probably lose a week finding out. I did, so the next couple of days I did go to different parts of Delhi using the train, and I did go to a few other little suburbs which I've written down, which were Chandni Chowk, House Khas Village, I think it's pronounced, and Connaught or Connaught, which are, especially House Village is a bit more of a trendy, or they label it a trendy area, more so because I think of the businesses that have opened up, the types of restaurants, cafes, little tattoo parlours, bars, things like that. I had some nice meals in these areas, and while they're a lot less chaotic than Delhi, again, you've still got the dirty nature of the city, and you still have pockets of stressful areas where people are just, there's so many people, and just the way that they deal with foreigners. Something that a recurring theme was people just staring at you, and like I later realised that they don't have much tourism in India, or as far as in this particular area, there wasn't many tourists, so they're just not exposed to seeing us as much, I don't think. So that was just while getting out into the suburbs is a lot more relaxing, and you start to see, I start to understand why other tourists love going to India and love spending time there. Just constantly going back to the chaotic and just feeling of not enjoying the time there. I did write down a few other things. So the area around where I was staying, to me, it felt quite rough. And even so, to get from my hotel to go to the train station, going through this particular street, there was a lot of homelessness, and just in general, it looked like a dodgy area, whether it be drugs or just extreme poverty. And then going through the train station to get over to the other side, to the metro, was quite chaotic just because of the amount of people. What else did I write? I think that was about it for my experience for those couple of days. So the last day that I was in India, so I flew out on Wednesday last week. I woke up and in my hotel I had a included breakfast, which wasn't great. I ended up only just having a banana and some tea. But I went up, it was on the rooftop, took out my phone to see what's happened overnight, opened up Twitter or X, and CNN was the first thing that came up, and showing that India had launched their Operation Sindoor, I think it was called, on Pakistan. So things got very real at that point, because I think 2 weeks prior to that, there had been a terrorist attack on some tourists up in that Kashmir region by some militants that are based in Pakistan. So it just had a feel of things could get really ugly. Now, so this is a region that is a couple of hours away from Delhi, but it's really not that far. So the mood around Delhi that day didn't feel any different. Certainly people like on the trains, on the metro, had their phones out and they were watching the news. And I don't understand Hindi, but I could hear constantly India, Pakistan was being mentioned. People were like just talking between themselves. I could hear that as well. I didn't ask anyone about it. I didn't really want to get into any political talk with people, but it was definitely, things still felt relaxed, like things didn't really feel like they changed, but definitely I noticed there are a lot more police and army around on the streets. So I'm not sure if that was just a coincidence, but they were patrolling a lot more. I later found out that the following night, the Thursday night, is when the cricket match got called off in Dharamsala, which is about 300 kilometres north of Delhi. So that's up in the mountains. And the reason for that was during the match there were drone missiles being fired all over the place. I think they were still maybe 50 or 100 kilometres away from the stadium, but the ground officials and the Indian government decided to turn off one of the floodlights, or all of them but one maybe, I think it was. They turned them off and cancelled the game within 15 minutes or so. So they'd only been playing for about an hour, and that was because of those drone missiles. Obviously the situation had escalated. So while my decision to leave was purely just the experience itself, and I felt that it wasn't for me, I felt as well that what started to happen with the conflict with India and Pakistan, that was the right decision at the time. yeah. Would I go back? I don't know. Maybe one day. I'd never want to say never. And now I feel like I need to, I guess, go back and confirm that I was right or that I was wrong in my feelings about the country or where I went. Certainly if I did go back, I'd start somewhere else, maybe further down south, like a Mumbai or something, because I've read like people say that that's completely different. So, but for the moment, there's no plans on returning. People watching, should you go? I can't answer that. That's something that you just have to go and try for yourself. I'd say, in general, it's very cheap for Westerners, especially if you're eating street food. Obviously, you want to be quite selective with that. I didn't get sick at any point, which was good. I stuck to bottled water. I did eat some street food, but again, I was quite selective in what I ordered and where I ate. I did go to a couple of cafes, which to me, that seemed more like a higher end restaurant. They had, like, it was full on service, table service, and then they had a rather nice menu of the food. So that was quite nice. They do have a tipping system which just automatically gets added to your bill. I think it was about 8% or so. So when you do go to these cafes or these eating restaurants, it is actually a lot more expensive than just eating out at a little food store. So just to keep that in mind. Getting around transport-wise was very affordable, and like I said, the metro was quite good. Yeah, I think that's about it. If anyone's got questions, feel free to leave a comment. Hopefully that was useful just to anyone thinking about going. See you in the next one.